Man, this barbecue looks awesome. But you know what else is awesome? Diesel Jeeps. And we're gonna go check them out. Hey everybody, it's Bubba with X's Jeeps, and we build badass Jeeps. Well, it's summertime here in Texas, and it's wicked hot.
That's okay.
But you know what else is hot? The new Eco Diesel, available in the Jeep Wrangler. Our friends over at Benny Boy called us up, said they had one. We drove over, we're gonna take a quick look at it, and take you along for a ride. Well, here it is, folks. For the first time since 1968, we can get a diesel in a Jeep. Back between 60 and 68, Jeep did produce a Perkins diesel in the, I believe it was the CJ5.
We built the Jeep for the person who wants to leave roads far behind, tell trails to get lost, and go where the crowd can't follow.
But ever since then, we've been longing for the awesome sound and the torque that comes with diesel engines. What's great about these is the amount of torque that they put out, which is really important to off-roading types. People that want to throw some 37s on here and go hit the trails and start doing some rock crawling. 442 foot-pounds of torque. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Way better than the gas options that are available. It fits inside here. Doesn't look a whole lot different from the Pentastar engine. It's taking up a lot of room.
All of it.
It's not surprising since they don't give us a whole lot of room to work with anyways, but I'm not going to take this engine cover off because I don't own the Jeep.
Okay.
So, but you can take a pretty good look and see that it's not that different from the Pentastar layout. Coolant bottle's still over there, battery's still over here. Fuse box is moved to the front, battery to the rear. Intake is on this side, on the driver's side versus passenger side, but overall it's not that different under the hood. Alternator is sitting up a little bit higher. That's going to help for you river forders that, you know, are out
Driving through rivers for some reason.
They put the alternator up higher so you don't have to worry about shorting anything out. Let me get in and start it real quick. It's not that much louder than, like I said, maybe the Pentastar, but there's still that distinct diesel sound that you get from the injectors. You almost can't tell that it's a diesel other than the badging on the back. So here's a really interesting difference between the diesel model and the gas model. The fuel tank is on the driver's side, not the passenger side. That's mostly due to probably because the turbocharger, the routing of the downpipes, stuff like that. They had to run the exhaust over on the passenger side, I'm sure. Now the fuel tank is on this side. Another fun fact about this is that the capacity is down to 18 gallons for the diesel. They had to make room for 5 gallons of DEF fluid, which will need to be refilled about every 10,000 miles. Is it a big deal? Actually, no, it's not, because the average fuel economy on this is 25 miles. Even with that reduction in capacity, the increase in mileage actually it gives it a range of 50 miles further than the V6 counterpart. I personally think that they need bigger fuel tanks in them, especially when we start adding all the goodies to them, you know, big axles, big tires, and heavy bumpers and stuff like that. I think the fuel tanks are always too small on the new model. I don't know what any of this is going to do once we beef it up and start adding a lot of weight to this. Hopefully that 442 foot-pounds of torque is going to be enough to overcome that and not reduce the fuel economy very badly. And in fact, I'm going to say that if we're getting 25 on average, you're probably still going to average out somewhere around the 16 to 17 range, which is pretty good. You may get it back up there even higher if you re-gear. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully there won't be too long before we get some builds in the shop with these and we can see what that fuel economy does. All right, so one of the concerns that I've had about the diesel version of this was the added exhaust pieces that were going to probably hinder some off-roading. I wasn't too sure how that was going to work, but here's one piece. This is the particulate filter. Don't ask me to explain what all this does, but hey, look, it's big and it's underneath here. It looks like they did a pretty good job of tucking this in next to the transmission and between the transmission, the frame, and above the cross member, so it's not hanging as low as what I was concerned about. Well, I know somebody's going to make some sort of skid plate protection in here, hopefully with some ventilation to it so it doesn't get too hot in here, hold too much heat. I don't think that's going to be as much of a hindrance as I thought it might be. Let's check out this oil pan. It's sitting pretty low. There's definitely going to be something in the aftermarket to make sure that that thing doesn't get pinged too hard, because it is pretty big. It is sitting down kind of low. I'm concerned about that part of it. And it's tucked in really tight around the differential housing up here. When we start going off-road with these things, get them articulated, I want to make sure that whatever I do when I set up my suspensions isn't going to interfere with this big oil pan. All in all, I don't think it's as bad as what I thought it was going to look like. I just noticed a little Easter egg here on this drive shaft that somebody had mentioned to me a while back in one of the comments on YouTube. Whoever that was, thanks. I just noticed it. But there's like a Jeep grill on the drive shaft right here. Overall, underneath, it doesn't look too bad. I'm actually a little bit surprised. So we're gonna take this beast for a ride. The model that we're driving is a sport model, nothing too fancy about it, not a Rubicon or nothing. It's probably what I would buy if I was gonna be building up my Jeep. Here we go. It's peppy. I'll give it that. It's peppy. I think every model EcoDiesel is going to come with 373 gears, regardless of whether it's a Rubicon or not. I think 373 is going to be the only ratio you can get it in. It's a little bit heavier, the engine, about 500 pounds heavier than the V6. I don't really feel it right now, but it's worth talking about. I got some bad news for the Jeep purist. This is only going to come in a 4-door model, no 2 doors. And it's only going to come with an 8-speed automatic, no manuals. I know a lot of people out there that believe that Jeeps, only 2 doors, only standards. I guess you're just out of luck. It's cruising really well. It accelerates really well from 55. It just got into a little bit and it took off. It feels a lot more powerful than the V6 or the Pentastar. 50 miles more range, something that feels a little bit more powerful than the V6. But I think the price tag on these is like an extra $4,000, I think. Looking at the window sticker on this sport model, it's got electric, it's got power windows and door locks and everything. It's got aux switches. Other than that, there's nothing really fancy about this. It does have the 7-inch screen, I think. Yeah. So basically almost like my Gladiator was set up. And $47,000. So seems a little pricey, I think. Also, the 8-speed automatic that is going to come with this engine is not the same 8-speed that's with the Pentastar. It's a little bit heavier duty 8-speed to handle the torque. 442 foot-pounds of torque. What is it, the 850 RE, whatever it is, it's in the that comes standard in the Wrangler and the Gladiator, is only rated for 350 foot-pounds. So they had to beef up the transmission. Oddly enough, that does not increase the towing capacity over the Pentastar. From what I'm told anyways, on the Gladiator, you're still not going to have as much towing capacity, or the 7650 that you get with the Sport S Max tow package and the Pentastar. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think about it. I told you some facts. Mind you, it's pretty quiet, about as quiet as a Jeep gets. You really wouldn't notice, other than the badging and under the hood, that it's a diesel. So I think they did a really good job there. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask me this in the comments. I don't know that I would ever buy one of these. I think diesels are awesome in 3/4 ton and 1 ton trucks. I think they serve a purpose, and that purpose is to pull things. I just don't see the validation of a diesel in a Jeep, and I know a lot of people want it. The diesel thing just doesn't excite me. I'm just not sold on it. I don't.
Okay, so you got a
diesel Jeep. It doesn't impress me that much.
That don't impress me much.
It's got power, but in reality, going off-road, when you take any Jeep and you put it in 4 low, it's got plenty of power. It's not, the things are never lacking power. It's the daily driving is where it makes up for it. And this doesn't do that for me. A Hemi?
Well, hell yeah, it does it for me.
It sounds like America! Like bald eagle screaming at me from underneath the hood.
Oh, shit.
This does not do that for me. Hey, if diesel's what you want, more power to you. And you don't have to beat me up about it. But personally, I'm not that excited about it. yeah, I guess if you're going to be building these up and you're putting big axles in them and big 40s and stuff like that, then yeah, it's going to be a little bit cooler for you guys when you're off-road. You're not going to make up any money spent on this thing by thinking, oh, well, it gets 50 miles further to the tank. Oh, the other thing, first year production of anything is always sketchy, right? So, especially these newer Jeeps, I'm sure there's gonna be a host of issues with these. After that, I'm sure they'll get it nailed down. Be careful with that. Maybe try and work that into your deal, that maybe you get a better deal because, you know, first year production. I doubt that's gonna work for you. But anyways, I don't see any reason why it's a bad design. I think all the concerns that I had really aren't there. Off-roading wise, you know, I was worried about getting out and beating stuff up on the trail is very critical. I think there's some skid plate options that need to be made if they haven't been already. After that, I don't see any reason why this isn't going to be just as capable as any other Jeep Wrangler that's ever been built. And in fact, it'll be more so because it does have more power. Awesome, good job Jeep, and I can't wait to get one in the shop, put some suspensions on them. I know like Evo Manufacturing does make suspensions for these already. You guys out there that have already bought these and you're looking for some options, Evo has that out there for you. But I see some other stuff in the aftermarket that needs to be done. Overall, it's pretty good. All right, well that wraps it up for the diesel Jeep review. Special thanks again to our friends at Benny Boyd Lockhart for letting us come out and drive it around and giving it a good run through. As always, for more cool and interesting videos on Jeep stuff, click here.